Brodes Media.
Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome on into Sports Talk with Brodes. Happy Memorial Day, everybody. Hope you enjoy your day. Some burgers, some dogs, fruit, whatever the hell you're eating, cold beverages, if you will, and enjoy the day for sure. Now, let's talk about this Phillies team out in Sacramento against the A's. That was my favorite series of the season. You heard that correctly, which is so ironic, considering when I saw the schedule, I wrote it off as most likely a blah series. Whatever happened against Colorado, that nonsense, blah. Pittsburgh, blah. The A's losing a billion games in a row, I don't know how it will be anything else other than blah. But then the games were played. Ho, 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 ho. And it's a shame that Game 3 on Sunday afternoon finished the way that it did because Luzardo struggles, right? And then what? Oh, my fucking God. Ew. Right? But then Matt Strom. Trey Turner gives you the lead. You think, wow. More on Trey Turner in a minute. But then Matt Strom. JT Realmuto grounding out into a double play. He does that way too often. He does that way too much. He kills potential rallies. It's a shame. But what happened at 2 a.m., technically Sunday morning, but it was Saturday night's game. That was the most needle-moving game I've seen all year. That was a game where I said, whoa, that hit different. That felt different. And it was so chaotic and there was so much happening that I'm probably even going to forget half of what the madness was. But Brandon Marsh with the cannon out in center field to home plate. Nasty. Ridiculous. The Phils had a chance with bases loaded before that. Got nothing. And then Kyle comes up large in the 11th. Surprise. He had a solo shot earlier in the game. It's just whenever the team needed an answer, they really did contribute. Bryce, gotta have it. Here's Bryce. Gotta have it. Here's Marsh. Game 1. Gotta have it. Here's Rojas in center field, making a spectacular catch. And then, by the way, getting to Mason Miller consistently, who everybody deems as a must-go-get arm if you're Dave Dombrowski to help solidify this bullpen. I was stunned to see him in Game 3, but I think they were like, yo, I know you want them badly. Kepler, by the way, Game 2. Kepler in the 9th. Woo! That exit velocity. Insane. Insane. Feisty. Never going down without a fight. That is starting to become a real trend dating back to, what was it, Arizona, where they just fell short with a miraculous effort. And then from there, it's sort of been part of who they really are. And I'm aware that the A's aren't very good, okay? Trust me. I've been on the side of, I don't know what this stretch means. So I'm pretty vocal about that. I saw something different, though. I saw something different. And it actually leads into a very important topic and discussion when it comes to this baseball team. By the way, don't forget, in that game, too, there was a pop-up behind the plate that JT normally catches a billion out of a billion times. It hit his glove, and he dropped it. Bryce had a couple of those over by first base, by the way. Trey had a mishap over at shortstop, kept the inning alive for Oakland. It's just, hey, bad things happen. What do you do about it? You shut the fuck up and you go out there and win the damn baseball game in 11 and make it crazy, make it wild, make it dirty, make it filthy, make it wet, make it moist, whatever the viewing experience is. But make sure you come out on top. And that 2 a.m. game, I'm so glad that I was able to make it through the whole way because, yeah, there's plenty of people that said, wow, just woke up and saw it. Not the same than when you're in real time. That Marsh throw, I actually thought, while it did take a perfect throw and a nice tag that was applied to get him out at home, it wasn't a very deep hit. I wondered if it was worth the gamble because it was kind of shallowish. But again, it did take a really strong throw for Marsh to make it happen. And one little thing goes wrong in the throw home, and he's most likely safe. So maybe it was a good test. I just thought it was shallow. That's all. The reason why I was able to stay up, though, is I have this new schedule, I guess. I don't know. I have new schedules every week. I can never stay on the same flow no matter what. But I've been doing late night workouts. So after I put my daughter down around 7:30, then I'll drink a Celsius. I know that sounds crazy. And I'll hit the gym, which is actually on the other side of this wall. So I can do it right here, bada bing, bada boom, pumping iron. And since it was a 10 o'clock start, not finish. Oh, it was a finish. 10 o'clock start. You know, able to do my thing, do a little incline treadmill walk, weight vest, sweat, get a shower, get all cleaned up, get on a nice pair of comfy clothes, boom, 10 o'clock, bang. Let's ride. But the caffeine rush was so insane that I couldn't fall asleep. But it was perfect. When you're watching outstanding baseball, I mean, outstanding is an interesting word to describe that game. And it was all over the place. But when you got one of those games that make no sense, when you got one of those games that have no structure, when you have one of those games where it is not very fluid, I guess, they're difficult. Even if you're facing an opponent, and truth be told, the A's are bad, but they're trying to snap a really rough losing skid. They eventually did. But when you're in game one, when you're in game two, when you're in those games, I mean, they're trying to get out of this thing. So they're playing for pride. They're playing for more than pride, but, you know, they're trying to prove, like, yo, this is not us. We started out nice and pesty, and people said, wow, look at what the A's are doing. Now we're falling into the trap. Let's get our head out of our ass. But even that type of energy walking into the ballpark wasn't enough. And I appreciate how the Phillies handled this series. Now listen, there's a huge, huge story that I need to get to. But first, the biggest story of them all is my lawn. Okay, my lawn's the best lawn on planet Earth. And it is all because of my friends over at Green Lawn Fertilizing. They just came and put down the third and fourth treatment in my backyard and in my front lawn. And every time I wake up, there's still progress that has to be made. It doesn't happen overnight. But from where I started to where I am now, knowing that I'm already in love and there's still ways to be more in love, it's crazy. It's mind-blowing. But I love watching the progress. Every time I open up my back door to let my dogs out, every time I go out back to play on the swing with my daughter, it's the best. And that could be your lawn. They are based in the Philadelphia area and best in market. Experts in New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and Delaware, and extremely knowledgeable, so much so that they've created their own custom blend. The first round is so important to lay the groundwork, it's not even funny. And that's why Green Lawn Fertilizing is offering you 50% off your first two treatments. That's right, 50% off your first 2 treatments. Make sure you check out the information down below in the description of this episode. It'll have a link for you. When you click that link, it'll sign you up through Brodes. So it'll say, hey, Brodes sent me. And it'll have the 50% off your first 2 treatments attached to that link. So it's a no-brainer. It is like family. They really communicate with you and educate you on everything that's happening. They don't just put stuff down and then say, all right, goodbye, thanks for having me, and then go on their way. It's, hey, this is what phase 1 is, and this is what treatment 2 is, and this is why we do this, and this is what this treatment is going to do, and that's the step we're on now. And yeah, I know you got dogs. Make sure you wait maybe an hour before you let them out back, and this and that. And very, very, very educational, and I think that is so important. I really do. Green Lawn Fertilizing. Make sure you check them out down below. Okay. So, I probably shouldn't wait 10 minutes to get into this part of it because it is so massive. And truth be told, there's probably going to be a billion more of these discussions anyway. So, what the hell? For the first time in a long time, and I mean a long time, and I mean a long time, I asked the question, when Trey Turner hit that solo shot to take the lead in Game 3 that they eventually lost, do we have the $300 million Trey Turner? Do we have him? It's been 2 years. And no, last year's 295 was not it. He started out well. Then there was that hammy something leg injury that knocked him out a couple of weeks. And then it just wasn't the same as it was when I enjoyed Trey. Then he fell off a cliff and then he was useless. And no. And who knows? There's a lot of baseball left to be played. I have no idea what's going to transpire over the next couple of months. But for the first time in a long time, watching him at the plate, and by the way, 310, 312, 313, big difference from 295. It's a big difference. 20-something points, big difference. Especially when you're hitting at that high of a clip. Different. Do we have the $300 million man? Because for a long time, I never knew if we would. For a long time, I never knew if it would ever live up to that type of cash, for that type of money, for that type of contract. I never thought it would. I'm not saying it is. I'm asking if we finally do have it, though. If this is consistent, which is a huge if this is something that stays for the long term, if this is something that bleeds all the way into the All-Star break and after the All-Star break and during the home stretch, and he's this OBP machine, even with singles all the time, and now occasionally you're starting to see the ball get squared up a little bit better, and there's a couple of drives that are filtered in now. If this is what we get, then we have the $300 million man. That's what I'm saying. I don't know if it's going to last, but this is the first time that I'm starting to see it. First time I'm starting to see it. Do with that information what you will. But that changes everything. If you have that, winning a World Series feels different to me. Because now you got Kyle on his contract here. Wow. I think Bryce is starting to turn the corner. Still looking for a little more, but starting to turn the corner. Boom pulled his first homer. Now, when it's a off-speed pitch just sitting there waiting for you, I hope a 6'5" human can pull it to Mars. But he finally got a pulled homer. That was an electric shot. It's starting. But if you get Trey being a superstar, if you get Trey being a franchise guy, that level of production, constantly being annoying to have to deal with on the bases, constantly getting a lead, We always looked at the Kyle Schwarber solo nuke as a way to score and get up 1-0 in a game and allow your pitchers to settle in and all that good stuff, right? And you get to work from out front and you're putting pressure on the other team automatically. Still a long game to go. Still a lot of innings and at-bats. There's a reason why there's 27 outs. But it's always sweet to see a 1-0 lead, a 2-0 lead. If he gets a single after Stott works a nice at-bat, and now he's on second base, and Bryce is up, or whatever the hell happens, right? You're putting traffic on early and finding a way to generate life and a pulse and get a lead with the blink of an eye. We'll see if that consistently shows up. But this form that we're getting, it's a huge development in my Trey Turner watch. And that could be the difference of winning a World Series or not. Yes, there's still other questions like bullpen, as we saw. Romano wasn't very sharp on Friday night either, but that's still a very impressive win because it's 1-0 all game long. 1-0 all game long because of Trey in the first. Then in the ninth, here's Mason Miller, and you get Bohm, Rojas, and Turner to make it a 4-0 lead. So then when Romano's on the bump after Wheeler pitches, and then there's a 3-run blast and all that stuff, you still win the baseball game. Rojas with an amazing catch in center field, you still win the baseball game. Holy hell. To Mason Miller. I mean, that's massive. Now, was the mound awful? Was that causing Romano to be all out of whack? I don't know. He probably does seem to be the guy where everything needs to be perfect to a T, or else he's going to have weird vibes and weird body language and argue and get mad and all that stuff. So that's my guess, is he's going to use it as an excuse, and he's not the only one to bring it up. I mean, I didn't even listen to any post-game stuff. I don't know if anybody specifically brought it up. I think I was watching Phillies pregame live on one of the days, and they were mentioning how Zach Wheeler brought it up, that the mound wasn't very up to the standard and up to the par and all that. And, I mean, it makes sense, but at the same time, Zach Wheeler shoved, right? I want someone who says, I don't give a shit. Give me the ball and let's go. The umpires Sunday afternoon was horrible. But when you get kicked out of the game, then you got to walk all the way down the field to exit. Oh, that's great. Oh, that's amazing. I love it. Just take your good old time, dude. It is awesome. All right, with that, let's go to the Anytime Hotline, and let's listen to the people react to a series in Sacramento. I keep wanting to say Oakland. I probably will say Oakland. It's just what it is. Let's go to the phones.
I just simply feel bad for Luzardo. I mean, once again, the guy got victimized by his defense in the first inning because Kepler losing that ball cost him 2 runs, and then Strom closed the door on it. Should have been a win. But, the Phillies had been, winning games by the skin of their teeth. You knew it was going to be tight. It would have been a bitch if Rojas had stolen that bag, though. If Miller had given up a hit to Marsh there, I think he'd have had a stroke right on the mound. But just not to be. But still, I mean, I can't complain too much at, a 6-1 road trip? I don't care who you play in Major League Baseball. That's still pretty good. Now you got to refocus and kick the Braves' ass. You don't want Atlanta to come in and put 2, 3, 4 losses in a row on you after today. Regroup, refocus, and take care of business at home.
I would be very disappointed and most likely cry if they end up responding from this 5-1 little stretch that they're on, or 6-1 stretch, and then end up, putting together losses to the Atlanta Braves, where Ronald Acuna Jr. going first pitch back, sending the ball out of the yard like he normally does. No. Can't speak it into existence. No. Well, this is how you know I have growth. This is how you know I'm developing as a Phillies optimist instead of a negative guy, which probably isn't going to get enough credit as it deserves. It probably should be parade day worthy, like, hey, Brodes is coming around. Hey, Brodes is starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel. Hey, Brodes is starting to open up his eyes and his heart a little bit. It should, I'm just saying, it should get acknowledged a little more than it does. This is how you know it's happening, though. You said something along the line, Sean, of they made it through the skin of their teeth, right? I don't look at game 1 or game 2 as they made it through at the skin of their teeth, even though you could make the argument that's the case. It's not irrational to describe the games that way. 4-3 when you're up 4-0. Wow, okay, you had just enough. Going to extras, 11 innings. I mean, crazy game. Back and forth, emotional. But just enough. I look at it in this light. They're getting wins whichever way they need to on that given day. They find a way to win. And maybe 7, 8, 9 games ago, we got a call on the Anytime Hotline with somebody saying it feels very Eagles-like. And I said, I'm not there yet. And the reason why that was mentioned was exactly that. They just find ways to win. But I didn't get that when it's a Rockies game. It might even be. I could be wrong. But it feels right that first game against Colorado would make sense, right? Because it was dreadful. No life. Weird. And then late. Boom. Right? That was the game. I'm not juggling a bunch of games together here. Wasn't that the game where Bohm had the late homer, and then from there the Phillies offense just kind of did its thing, and you won game 1, and then you really just annihilated the Rockies the rest of the way. That was like a you find a way to win type of effort even against Colorado. And I guess, again, you could spin it that way, but I didn't feel it. This A's series, I felt something I haven't felt before. Another example is Anytime Hotline person called in and mentioned the Rocky series in totality. And maybe that could be a series you look back to, similar to the Eagles with the second half of Cincinnati, when I finally saw something that I loved and made me believe in the team, that Rocky series could be the game we reflect back to that allowed the offense to open up. And I said I was willing to accept that that's a real possibility. But now that this A series happened, this A series did something to me. This A series did something to me. This is the series I'm going to consistently reflect back to. Whether I'm right, wrong, to do it. When I watched, when I consumed, and I don't think I was just having the sleepy ha-has at 2 a.m., falling in love with the wacky sport of baseball when it's so unpredictable. I don't think that's what it was. Game 1, 9th inning. Game 2, the constant responses, the defensive efforts. Brandon Marsh, that is, with the cannon to home. I don't know, man. I really think there was a turning point in this series along the way, even with the third loss. And a game 3 loss. And you know what? In a way, I know this sounds crazy, but I don't think that loss is bad with the Braves coming up because I want to bury the Braves. I want to sweep their asses. And if you won that final game, can you ask for a sweep against Atlanta at home after you swept so many opponents in a row? Now we hit a break and we can reset so I can demand to bury the Braves again. Flawed way of thinking? Maybe. Am I always saying that now because it happened? Maybe. It's good, Amadeo.
Well, it sucks they couldn't sweep the entire road trip and finish off the stretch with a 10-game winning streak, but I guess you could say streaks come to an end at some point. The Phillies were on a 9-game win streak. A's were on a 10-plus game losing streak. Both of those streaks were going to end. Exactly that case was today. But I'm not going to kill them. I don't think there's a reason to kill them. They've been playing a lot better baseball lately, especially when you go on a 7-game road trip and you win 6 out of those 7, you did your job at the end of the day, and you're not going to sweep every single series. That's just not the way everything's going to go. There's a lot of positives to take away from the series, especially from last night's ball game, the way they fought back, especially, getting the Mason Miller twice in this series. They just weren't going to do it 3 times. Let's be realistic here. Getting to Mason Miller twice on Friday and yesterday with Kepler's amazing home run, that's just insane from that standpoint. Zach Wheeler, the pitching wise, a lot of complaints about the mound, and I guess those were relevant just because everybody didn't like the mound. Bullpen wise, Kirkering was really good in this series. Strom, it sucks that he gave up those runs on Sunday. Romano, I guess I'll throw that to the mound. But good for Luzardo from bouncing back after that first inning. Trey Turner had a very good series, and the power looks like it's starting to come out even more. Schwarber continues to be Schwarber. The one criticism offensively I will take from this series, JT needs to be lower in the lineup.
Yeah, the JT thing is rough. Those double plays, and yeah, it's not good. 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 Trey, though. You guys impressed with me? Trey. I haven't said a bad word about Trey all show. Progress. Doesn't happen overnight. Work with me here. Takes a little bit of time. We'll wrap things up with Malcolm in Georgia. Okay? Let's go to Malcolm.
Hey, Brodes. Malcolm in Georgia. So I'll take a 6-1 road trip coming back to Philadelphia to start what I feel is a really crucial series a telling series against the Atlanta Braves. A little disconcerting that Strom let that win go for Luzardo. Even more disconcerting was the way Romano looked, but I'm hoping that it was a mound issue and that he's not back to his old ways that we saw at the beginning of the season. Also, JT Realmuto, he's got to be batting ninth going forward because we're losing out on too many runs with him in that 7th spot. Need to move Bohm and Marsh up, and even Rojas if he's going to be in there.
Wow.
And let's let JT bat ninth. Maybe he can do something and lead us around back to the leadoff hitter. But a couple days ago, one of your callers made mention of the Phillies maybe showing a turnaround with that in the Colorado victory.
Yep.
I actually think this upcoming Braves series is the telling point for what kind of ball club we got. The Braves are not playing that great. They're just below 500. But, they're the Atlanta Braves, and we have a chance to bury them. And they come in here, they're 8.5 back. We take 2 out of 3, let's say even sweep them. We got some good pitchers coming up on the mound. We can bury the Braves.
We sure can. I thought for a second, Malcolm, you were going to say exactly what I said, which is it wasn't really the Rocky series. It was this A series, but you're going with the Braves. Listen, I'm obviously going to be nuts and super pumped up and super excited if they do damage against the Braves. So they ended up losing a series at home to San Diego. That's just what the Braves are coming into. And then they had that series against the Nationals that were pretty rough for them as well. So that they're coming off of 2 straight series losses. 1 to San Diego, 1 to the Nationals, if I'm reading this correctly. Just for their current play purposes. I do think there's a difference between a turnaround series, vibe-wise, and a telling series. Maybe not. Maybe I'm just changing the word and it means the exact same thing. But there's like a litmus test. Am I saying that right? I sound like, what am I, drunk? There's that, and then there's one that really has a deeper meaning to a turnaround. Those are 2 different things. I agree that the Braves one could maybe be more of a test. I'm not going to try and say the word again. And then This A series was the, remember that A series? Remember that A series? It's going to be me all year. Anyway, I'm going to shut up now. You guys are the best. I love you. Thank you all so much for kicking it with me. Happy Memorial Day, everybody. You're the best. I love you. We'll be talking soon. Big series coming up. Can't wait to react. Go Phils. Talk to you on the next one.